Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. How's everybody doing today? Lauren, you had a 30-hour travel excursion back from the Middle East. I'm sure that was
It was 33 and a half hours after I clocked it, and with the time changes. Yeah. Never will I book a trip like that again. I'm going to have to reorganize it if I do it again, but I've had my coffee. I slept in my own bed with my dogs, which was exactly what I needed to get back on this time zone.
I'm sure they were happy to see you.
Very happy.
Tommy, how you doing? Good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Back in the studio.
Back in the studio. It's it is raining. It is cold. But yeah, and I'm licking my wounds after the Cowboys just got humbled on Sunday, which I knew was coming.
That was that was not after that big win against the Eagles. You guys were bound for a letdown.
Once I saw, and people can poo-poo this if they want, but there are a lot of insights that you can get from Vegas gambling lines, right? Cowboys have a huge win over the Eagles. They've been playing great. They're absolutely on fire. The Bills are fighting for their lives, barely scraping by. Have a big win on Kansas City, which sets them up for a potential letdown. And they are still a couple point favorites over the Cowboys. That is what we call a rat line, my friends. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, if I weren't a Cowboys fan, I would bet my mortgage on the Bills.
Yeah,
that is a rat line, and I'm
sometimes it's good to bet against your team because that way, if they lose and you win,
it's a win-win.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt as bad.
It lightens the fall,
softens the blow.
Yeah.
Sean, how are you?
I'm sick. I got a little something going on here, which is why I'm not in the studio. I didn't want to get Tommy sick too, so I got something going on. But going to taking my son to his first real hockey game tonight.
Ooh,
we're gonna go see the Sharks out of the SAP Center.
Fun.
So he's pretty fired up.
How are the Kings playing right now?
They're playing great. They're awesome. Yeah, look at them power rankings. They're usually like top 3. They've had a little bit of stumble lately. Got back on track Saturday night when I was in Seattle. Didn't get to go see the game. I was at a wedding. But yeah, won in a shootout.
Forgot about it.
It was good, man. The wedding was fun. It was a good time. So
did you dance?
No, I mean it was real low key, man. It was actually a very nice ceremony in his living room, and it was a lot of fun. Then we just went out to a nice dinner afterwards in downtown Snohomish. Pardon me,
Snohomish.
They had the Christmas parade going on, which in that area of the country, it is legal to ride like those side by side gator like Wolverine things on the street. So everyone had those things in lights. There were flamethrowers coming out of these things. It was like almost Mad Max Fury Road-esque Christmas parade. It was fantastic. It was like small town America, and had a great dinner.
Wow,
that's awesome.
A little winemaking facility. Went to a speakeasy afterwards.
I just pictured you going and be like, "Whoa, you got a flamethrower attachment on that?" And they're like, "What? Yours doesn't?"
No, exactly. Exactly. But it was a good time. So I'm very happy for my brother. I'm also very happy to talk about our sponsor for today, and that is Reebok. Reebok is the sponsor for today. So if you're looking for that perfect gift for that fitness freak in your life, it is not too late. You can go to Reebok.com. You can check out the Nano X3 training shoes built with a pivotal new lift and run chassis system in the midsole. So now you can lift, run, jump, do all of it with confidence in the Nano X3. And I think, I'm going to throw a picture of these up here for people who are watching.
I like this colorway.
Yeah, there's some great colorways there. I don't think I've worn the X3s. This is the one pair that I do not have. But
Sean, you got to get on it. They're so good.
I need to grab one of these. And they look great. I see a lot of trainers at NC Fit use them, and I more often than not will wear Reeboks when I train. I have like a pair of the Fronings now that I'm using.
Yeah,
that I really like. So
the X3s have become very popular at my gym. I think they were an upgrade from the X2. The X2 fit my foot a little bit funny, but the X3s are definitely nicer. And I purposely picked that little beige stucco one. I think that one's a nice hybrid, like wear in the gym, wear to brunch type colorway. And I think it's it may or may not be part of the Justin Fields collection. So for all my Chicago fans out there, it's he's working with Reebok right now, and so he's
That's
got
cool.
some special Nano editions as well.
Yeah, so you can scan the QR code right there if you're watching this, and I'll take you right to the webpage. You can shop the Nano X3. Reebok makes awesome training shoes. Glad to have them as a sponsor for this episode. So please check them out. Well, let's
Also,
get into it. What?
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
say, if you're still buying Christmas gifts, it's $12.19. What's going on? Come on.
Sometimes, got plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Don't hate on us, Tommy.
I say this is the only year that I've actually gotten it done more than a week away from the actual holiday. So
I think I'm more or less done, so that's good.
I've got one more thing to get. So close.
Excuse me. All right. Let's talk about first thing we want to do is we want to recap, pardon me, the Grove Games. Lauren, you were there. That was at Ras Al Khaimah, which if that name sounds familiar, the reason it sounded familiar to me is that a few years back, CrossFit Mayhem had a competition, I think, all set to go there, and then something happened. They weren't able to do it, but they actually put on a competition here. You got to be there, got to hang out with Tia. We're going to have an interview with her next week that Lauren got in the back of a car, correct? Like on your way to do the zip line thing?
So that's what we were going to do, but it was too close quarters that we ended up doing it. It was really cool at the venue, and then they have like their VIP and royalty sit in a section. So her and I went over there. Yeah, it looks really cool. A very different look, but yeah, it was awesome. And Tia and Shane and the whole Proven crew, they actually did the programming for the event.
Nice. Well, how was the competition itself? Because we talked to Lazar Jukic beforehand, and he was competing on a team, and it looked like they had a lot of fun. I was trying to keep up with it on social media.
It was really fun, especially because we talk about, what is friendly banter and what is friendly trash talk, and there was a lot of that between Team Hype Train, which was the one that the Jukic brothers, Kara Frey and Norbulika were on, between the two Kolesnikov teams that were there. So there was some other, games experience. And the three of those teams, they were kind of duking it out for a couple of the workouts. The Team Hype Train, they were able to win overall, but it was such a well-run event for only being their second year. And that was really what I was most impressed with. Everything was on time. The judges were very good. The scoring system. I mean, I could not believe how quickly they were able to get their scores into competition corner. And just the flow of everything was very well done.
Cool. And this was team only, correct?
Yes, team only. So they had two different divisions. There was the elite team division, which would be 2 male and 2 female athletes. And then they also had what they call their local division. So people throughout the Middle East and from locations local, and the UAE, that were competing. And this was male teams of 3.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. Well, it's great. I think, especially off the heels of FitFest, and the word you heard a lot being used to describe that was fun. I don't know if this had the same feel, but this seems like because it wasn't an individual competition, it is a chance for individual athletes to go there, still be serious about competing, but also have a good time in the process. Because I think there is just something about the team setting that just lends itself to more fun. At least here, you get to the games, obviously semifinal stuff like that. It's a little more intense, but.
Yeah. And especially because, again, we're seeing a format where individual athletes are teaming up. Like all 4 of the athletes on Team Hype Train had just got done doing DFC the week prior. So when I spoke to them earlier, they were saying that they kind of felt beat up and they hadn't done a lot of training after Dubai and took some time off, but then seeing them throw their hat in the ring again. I mean, Kara, for her, that's 2 straight wins back-to-back weekends. So a nice little end to the off season for her. And Luka Jukic said, I think that this was competition 14 in the whole calendar year for him.
Good for him, man.
Granted, some of the competitions were just single day events.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But still, 14, when he said that, I had to pick my jaw off the floor.
Well, we are glad that you made it back safely, despite the long travel day that you had to, for more than a day and a half that you had to endure. So,
lots of travel, but it was worth it. And the community out there, so friendly, so nice.
Good. That's my next question. So, go ahead.
Yeah, it just, And I don't know exactly why the feeling of covering competitions outside of the US is very different. And I don't know if it's because the stakes aren't as high. I'm sure that has something to do with it. The prize purses aren't as big. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But all competitions, regardless of how you cut the cookie, they are high stress environments where there's so many moving pieces. There's so much communication that the judges have to have with the athletes, have to have with their media team, with the directors. There's so much that goes into it. But at Grove Games, at Fit Fest, at the German Throwdown, which I did about a month ago, it almost feels like there's no stress in the air. People are kind to each other and people communicate well, and they're like, yeah, get this done in this amount of time. It's going to be fine. We'll make it work. And it just is a very positive experience that I've had going.
It should be.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's how it should be.
Yeah,
people are nice, people are friendly, and it makes everybody do a better job when that's the environment that you're thrown into.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
Speaking of competitions, old Justin Medeiros, and he talked about this when we had him on the show. And I'm going to call this up. He got himself into a powerlifting meet. So this is
yeah.
Hell yeah.
So he joined the 500 club with a 512-pound squat, hit some solid numbers on the bench and squat, had a lot of fun getting back out on the competition floor. So ready for the 2024 CrossFit Games season. Let's freaking go. So yeah, this was some highlights of him there.
Yeah, I mean he looked great on the squat. I wouldn't say I would say he smoked his first two. I watched some of it, and the third squat there was a little bit of hesitation. I think he got a red light on the first one because powerlifting is very specific about up down calls, right? Yeah. And waiting for it. And I think us CrossFitters can get a little antsy and maybe jump ahead, but looked great on the squat. I was really impressed by how he finished his third bench press. For the powerlifting bench press, you have to pause at the chest, and usually you get an up call. And usually any change of direction will be negate the lift. He hit a sticking point on his third bench press and really fought through it to keep the bar moving up. And there are some times I've had this conversation with some high-level powerlifters before where they said what really translates well from CrossFitters doing powerlifting is they know how to grind out reps.
Yeah.
As like the intestinal fortitude on a rep that maybe isn't going up as smoothly or as well as you want, and being able to like keep the foot on the gas pedal for it, grind out that rep, even if it's at like a snail's pace, and making sure you still get a good rep in that regard is something that it kind of carries over really well. And I thought that was exemplified by that last bench press. And then the only lift he failed was his second deadlift, which he still lifted it. But, with deadlifting and powerlifting, there's some rules around hitching and bar path and it's stopping. And he lifted sumo. And on the second one, the bar got away from him and he had to pull it back a little bit and he kind of hitched, I think. And I think he got 2 out of 3 red lights, but came back and smoked the next one. So all in all, pretty damn good.
So when you say, for people who are unfamiliar with the light system, what exactly does that mean when you say you get 3 good
so
lights?
There are 3 judges,
right.
One in front and then one on either side that at the conclusion of the lift, so say you do a lift, it is their job to either lift up and it is not always a flag, but a white flag or a red flag. White flag means a good lift from their end. Red flag means a bad lift, and it's a majority rule system. So
got it.
2 out of 3 white lights is a good lift. 2 out of 3 red lights is a bad lift. There are usually appeals processes in place, and there's some stuff, and I'm not always familiar with every association's rules around like overturning judgments, because sometimes there can be like an overruling from a head judge, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good on him for getting out of his comfort zone and going after something, looking pretty strong in the process.
I say 600 pounds on the deadlift, man. I mean, it was sumo, right? So he won't be able to get to do that. He won't be able to do that at the games, but I just, in general, that raw power that you're building from that, being able to pick 600 pounds off the ground. The 500-pound squat looked great. It looked like he wasn't like in a full low bar powerlifting squat like you'll see. It was more of a high bar kind of, I guess, traditional CrossFit type squat with a upright torso. And yeah, I mean, if you're like, yeah, I got a 500-pound bench, 300-pound or so 500-pound squat. Yeah. He benched 303. So 300-pound, 300-pound bench press with your butt and back on the seat, 500-pound squat, 600-pound deadlift, and he's like, you look at his general size, you're like, hell yeah,
that'll do.
That's pretty damn good.
Nice job, Justin.
Yep,
proud of you.
So, yeah.
And nice Trista Smith also did the powerlifting meet as well.
Yeah, she did great. She went 7. She went 7 for 9. She hit all of her back squats and deadlifts, and then missed twice on the bench press at 187, but she got 174. And yeah, she squatted 270, back squat, deadlift 330, solid lifts. So
nice job. Yeah. I always love to see CrossFitters getting out of the comfort zone, testing something new, and being pretty good at it. Because, like you said, you look at Justin Medeiros, you're not like, that guy's a power lifter,
Powerlifting meets are powerlifting and like hybrid strongman powerlifting meets are fun. Yeah. Like it's crazy how much juice you get for some of those lifts.
I bet.
Have you done them before, Tommy?
Yeah, I've done it. I did it was a hybrid powerlifting strongman competition one time. That was a mixture of both. So it was a 1 rep max deadlift, traditional powerlifting meet style. It was a back squat, but instead of the bench, you did 3 strongman implements. You did a tire flip, you did a fat bar, an axle bar overhead medley, and then you did a farmer's carry for distance. And it was so much fun. I at the time I PR'd my deadlift and won the farmer's carry. Because I was the last athlete to go, so I got to see what was in front of me. And it was one of those ones where everybody's like, and everyone's done competing, let's just cheer this guy on. So everyone lined the walkway. So I was like, all right, I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew now. I'm gonna let's do this. And as soon as I picked up and started walking, I had a really good grip. Like you can tell my grip was locked in, and everybody's just like, you're gonna do this, and screaming in my face. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And yeah, it's one of those Disney moments.
Awesome. Yeah. I remember you telling me that story. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to our CrossFitters doing powerlifting. Always love to see that cross-pollination right there.
Oh, yeah.
Last thing we'll talk about before we go and we revisit our top questions heading into the offseason, because we're really almost done with the offseason. We got one more thing left. That's Wadapalooza, and then we get into the open. But there was a news item that I came across, and I don't know if anybody I haven't seen anywhere. So it was an interesting thing I thought we should talk about. But that is this is from footwearnews.com, and the headline is, after departing Timberland, Susie Mulder joins NOBULL as COO. And the article reads, not long after departing Timberland, Susie Mulder has landed at NOBULL. NOBULL has announced today, which I believe was December 5th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's when this article came out. That Mulder, who most recently served as global president of Timberland, has joined the performance training company as its COO, effective immediately. Mulder will report to Brent Hasty, Brent Hasty, executive chairman and acting CEO. And then there's some details here, but you can find it on footwearnews.com or just do a search on NOBULL COO. In the role, NOBULL said Mulder will lead the company's overall strategic direction and manage day-to-day operations. This is a quote from Mulder. I feel like my personal and professional life has all been in preparation for this incredible opportunity at NOBULL, Mulder said in the statement. NOBULL has already built a highly credible training brand, and I couldn't be more excited to work with the team to accelerate the growth of the business and make the NOBULL brand synonymous with people working hard every day to be better versions of themselves. And it goes into a little bit of a background, but just something wanted to get out there in case people didn't know about that.
Yeah, interesting.
Because, and this is something that we'll talk about in the questions from our top offseason questions, is obviously NOBULL was the title sponsor of the CrossFit Games. Don't know who's going to be that this year, but now they have a new COO, and interesting to see what direction she takes the company or helps take the company.
We're going to get some leather boots now out of NOBULL.
Ooh.
Like hiking boots?
Timberlands.
No, Timberlands, man, go stomping around in those.
Well, I think that it's pretty clear that they want to sort of maybe diversify a little bit and maybe do more than just training. I no idea, but I just thought that was an interesting headline. Hadn't seen anything on it. Just wanted to throw it out there because that's certainly something that we're keeping an eye on as far as like what brands might wind up as a new title sponsor. So with that being said, let's get into our top 5 questions heading into the offseason. We'll go 5 down to 1. So most of these, if not all, have been answered. We got a couple that are still, I think we need a little more information on. Number 5 is, will we see Tia compete? Obviously, the answer to that is yes. And we saw her compete extremely well, 5 months, 6 months after giving birth, and she finishes, it goes down to the wire at Rogue, and she finishes second there, which I think everybody, and we've said this before, needs to be very scared that Tia 6 months after giving birth finished second.
Awesome.
Wait till you hear what she says in her interview.
Oh, that's a great tease. There you go. Because she's going to be.
We talk about it.
Yeah, we'll have that. So December 26th, we'll have that interview that we'll release. So, yeah, I bet she is fired up, man. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think absence makes the heart grow fonder, and she's not used to not finishing first. And I think I give her a ton of credit for what she did at Rogue and the way she handled it too, because never once did you hear her say, well, if I had more time, I could have this or I could have that. She didn't do any of that. She's like, this was an awesome performance for me. Glad to get back out there. But I know, like, inside, she's probably like, I can't wait to get out here to start smashing people again.
She is fired up and ready to be unleashed. It just brings me back to, was it the year that they tested their snatch and Tia she looked like a lion that was in a cage, just walking back and forth, not making eye contact with anybody. That is the Tia that I think we're going to see at the games again this year.
I
can't wait.
Tommy, anything to add to that one before we move on to our next one?
Yeah, I mean, that just makes me excited, right? In the absence of some familiar names last year, it provided an opportunity for other athletes to, earn some of the spotlight, rightfully so, build some momentum for themselves in terms of, placing and performing in ways maybe that the gatekeepers from previous years had prevented, right? So we got to see athletes like Lowen, Gazan, push up into the podium. We got to see Laura Horvath win, and I think there's something that comes behind that I don't think it's just as simple as, hey, these people are coming back, they're going to wipe the floor. It's almost like, it's like there's some of these old adages, right? That when a team learns how to win and they feel what that actual process is like, it gives them a different perspective. And I think that can be the case, especially for some of these athletes. They feel what it's like to have a run that results in the podium at a high level competition, or what it's like to qualify for the first time, or in Laura's case, win the games on, as well as, Rogue, which she had done, or even if it was with a shortened training, cycle, beating Tia. And to me, that only adds to the excitement, intrigue of, all right, well, what is this Laura, who has now experienced this process, look like going ahead to a fired up Tia who hasn't felt this in quite some time? And to me, that just like gets me, fired the hell up, because that's what sports is all about.
Yep. And
there's a feeling of winning that I think elevates an athlete, that now they believe that it is possible. And I think like the games that we had this past year is going to elevate the field regardless of what the results are.
In many ways,
think that, now that we have different people that were on the podium, different winners, it's just going to drive it upwards.
In many ways, it's like the Bannister effect. You accomplish something, you're like, oh, it's possible. And other people see it's possible too. And so there's a belief that gets instilled, as well as yourself, that you can do it again. We used to joke in high school that once someone figured out how to dunk, it was only like going to be a week before they're throwing down reverses and 360s, because once you realize like, oh, I can actually get above the rim and play that at that level, then it like unlocks something for you.
But sorry for the reaction. My Spike was trying to get up on the couch, and
I was just gonna say, wasn't it like that for you, Lauren, when you first dunked?
Yeah, when I was a child and I had my dad lift me all the way up, and that was the only time I've ever dunked.
Hey, Fisher Price makes basketball hoops too.
That's right. So I think question, there's no shame in that. Question 4, I don't know, maybe plays off this one nicely, and that is, who will have the most momentum coming out of this offseason? Now, I think we still we need to see what happens at Wodapalooza, but I think you could make an argument for Tia Toomey, despite the fact that she's only competed in one event. But because of what happened in that event, could, as we just said, springboard her into another Tia-like dominant performance in 2024. I think Roman is a good candidate for this. I think Ricky Garrard is someone that you could mention. I think Colin Frey is someone who you can certainly mention as well. Just given what's happened recently with her. But I definitely want to see what happens in Wodapalooza, because I think just because I want more information, but also there's also a little recency bias with that competition, since it is so close to the Open. And that's where, like last year, we saw Paige Powers, who used that event in Miami to really kick off a fantastic season for her.
I think there's an argument that all of the top 5 women from the games come in with a ton of momentum, right? Because for the most part, they were able to back that up with strong performances at Rogue. Obviously, Laura wins. Emma Lawson has a second consecutive podium at Rogue. Gabby Magala, another top 5 finish after kind of reestablishing herself in that podium chase last year. Obviously, Alex Gazan, tremendous run at the games, comes up, just short, but also comes back and has some epic performances that win events for her against the best in the sport in another top 5 finish. Even going down, Emma Carey just is looking like she's starting to round out into like that perennial top 10 type athlete, and maybe even pushing a little bit higher. So I think it's almost like there's no wrong answers on the women's side for some of these top women. I just think Pat Vellner, right?
Sure.
Like I think he gets into that scenario again where it's like, oh gosh, is this going to come down to the wire for him, where maybe he comes up short, but he doesn't and he wins? Like, to me, there's almost like that relief. And we talked to him afterwards as well. It's like you have all these close calls, and then you finally get into a close call scenario where it ends up on your side. And I just think that's a huge bump for him, because he is in his 30s. He is one of the older athletes in the field, and to prove that he can still win, like, I think that's a huge bump for him, man. Because I think what Pat has always been, yes, he may not always win an event, or he may not always be like the podium or finish just off of it. But I think on any given day, and this is maybe something that doesn't always show up, on the stat sheet, I guess. I think if you took Pat Vellner even just at a baseline when he's not training hard, I think his baseline is as high as anyone. Like, you see these athletes that kind of seesaw in their abilities, like, oh, I'm not training that hard, so that means I finish outside of top 10 at Rogue or Wodapalooza or something like that. Even when Pat's like taking it easy, I think he's capable of going in and hitting a 5th or 6th at one of these like really, really competitive competitions. And that isn't talked about enough, because I think that's what ultimately has kept him in the game so long.
For sure.
I would agree with Tommy on both fronts, but if we're talking specifically on the women's field of who, as a singular athlete, has the most momentum, I would put my money on Emma Lawson.
Okay.
And I would say yes, because she has been on the podium in the 2 last times that we saw her. But then her most recent performance with FitFest, it was because of what Brent Fikowski said about competing with her, that he felt like he was holding her back in certain events.
Wow.
And he talked a little bit on an Instagram post just about her mindset and working with her. And to me, if you get the rite of passage from the professor himself as somebody who is a contender to be on that podium multiple years coming, I mean, who else is going to give you that kind of, okay, this is somebody that we should really be looking out for. So hearing his experience with her, I think puts her in the right direction, along with, of course, her podiums.
That's the equivalent of, like, you decide to do your taxes yourself one year, and then you hand them over to your buddy that's an accountant, is like, damn, this is good. And you're like, oh, thank God. Oh my God. You're like, all right.
The IRS isn't coming after me.
Yeah, I can do this. I mean, that's high praise. That is high praise.
Absolutely. I didn't know that. That's good. Yeah. That's good to know. That's anytime Brent Fikowski compliments you on something, you know you're doing something right.
Oh, yes. Oh, so here it is. Emma Lawson. There's a reason she's racking up podium finishes at every comp she attends. She's fit, has a great coach, and is very driven to succeed. I was struggling to keep up with her on the synchro movements. If I had more breath in my lungs, I would have asked her to slow down a few times.
Wow. All right.
So there you have it.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Well, again, one big competition left to go, and anything can happen there, and gives us some more information as we barrel into the Open. Question number 3: what changes, if any, will be made to the season? Obviously, we know what's going on with the quarterfinals. We know about the semis and CrossFit not running them, but letting the partners run them. CrossFit will program them. Still some information that needs to be released with the rule book that is supposed to be out, I think, any day now. Because Tommy, we're like right in the time of year where usually this thing gets dropped. I think what's the latest it's come out? It's never has it ever come out like January? It's usually December, right?
The last few years have been December and November. So I want to say like 22nd or 23rd was a couple of years ago, and that was one of the more later versions in this most recent era. But it's I don't know. I'm curious to see if I honestly haven't heard much rumblings about when it's coming out.
Me neither.
And it doesn't seem like, at least from that they might release it before the new year. And then we might have to actually wait until 2024 to get it, which would be kind of weird. But unless, in my mind, holding it that long, if you're not making significant changes, seems odd. Unless there's some very clear changes that you're making that you need to get right.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly TBD on that. But again, the biggest change is quarterfinals, and then who's running the semifinals, what that qualification process looks like. How many people go into the games. They're still going to use, I think, worldwide ranking.
Yeah, they got to get their wording right for us to finish 15,000th in the
that's right,
in the age group quarterfinals.
That's absolutely right. And then they have the thing too, where it's if you're going to go individual and masters, like it's the same thing, right? Like you just yeah. So which is good, because I know like if you're someone like Tommy who would make quarterfinals for both, that can be a little taxing on the old body. Got
just a little bit.
Dragging in the garage for a little bit after that. After that endeavor.
It's funny because Will said something, but it'll lead me to my PR and no rep.
So. All right. So number 2, and we briefly touched on this in the news about NOBULL, but who will be the title sponsor of the CrossFit Games? There's still no news about that. There are some rumblings out there, things that we've heard about. Maybe it's going to be multiple brands. Maybe it's one. Maybe we've heard some names being bandied about, but nothing concrete. And I think we asked Don Fall about it the last time he was on, and his answer was, we're working on it, more or less. So still don't have that information, but I'm guessing that is something that needs to be decided in the next couple of months, because more often than not, that has been settled before the Open, because that person or whoever it winds up being also gets to brand
the apparel and
right. Yeah. Exactly. So hopefully an announcement on that is coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
So nothing new there. And then finally, number 1, where will the games be? We all know that. We got that announcement. When did that happen? Was that October that we got that announcement? That seems like a year ago.
Yeah, it honestly feels like a lifetime ago, which, let's see.
Obviously, Fort Worth, Texas. Everyone knows that. So, it's going to be in Fort Worth. Know that they're going to have separate championships. Still waiting on the dates for those, but it's wheel wad for the adaptive. It is the legends for the Masters, and then it's pit throwdown for
fitness,
pit team throwdown
for the teams. Yeah. So there you go. Spike is giving me a dirty look right now.
Oh,
just his judgment face that he's got sitting in front of my desk here.
I've gotten a little taste of having 3 dogs at home, because we've been dog sitting our neighbor.
That's fun.
Our neighbor's Chihuahua, Cosita. Wow. She runs the roost too. She is she's like a 14-year-old, 13-year-old Chihuahua that is just all sass.
Fun, man. It's fun.
Does she speak a lot?
When she's unhappy, yes. Otherwise, she prefers to burrow herself into blankets and not be bothered.
That's cute.
I'm talking about.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for our top 5 questions. And again, still more information coming. Hoping that the rule book comes out soon. We are actually going to have Adrian Bosman on the show this Friday. We'll have that for you.
Yeah, and I was gonna say and just the title sponsor stuff, right? To like know what brands, because
I'm gonna go help my dog get on the couch. Keep talking.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's like if like NOBULL's not going to be it again. We've already tapped Reebok. I doubt that they would do that. Is there another brand that can take over the totality of it all? Or as we've mentioned on the show before, they're going to have to divide and conquer, because it feels like they're going to have to divide and conquer.
Yeah, because you look at a brand like TEF, and I've heard a lot of people predicting that it will be them. But to me, it's like they already take on Wodapalooza. And now Wodapalooza has not one, but 2 events. And one of them is nearly right after the CrossFit Games. That to me, I don't think that they would take on a 3rd major event in one calendar year.
Yeah. And if you can get the same benefit without having to fork over the cash that the games represents, if
yeah,
you can look at what both of the now 2 different Wodapaloozas get you, and you're like, well, we're essentially accomplishing the same, marketing spend or the marketing reach, at least, and the return on our investment, or at least brand awareness consistently, and we're spending what I assume is a fraction of what the games cost. Then
you're talking about TEF, I assume.
Yeah, we're just talking about like the idea of like dividing and conquering the game sponsorship, because before it's been an all-in sponsor like one company. I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's any companies that are ready to jump at that level of involvement.
You think Nike would come back to the table?
I don't think they can. No, they don't need it.
No, they don't.
They at the table.
I don't know if they've. I don't think they were ever seriously at the table.
I don't think they were either.
Okay.
They don't need it. Yeah, and I'm with you. That I think with the TEF thing, getting 2 Wodapaloozas, the only thing they don't have there is national television exposure.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, at least for their fitness stuff. I mean, all their other stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. It would be cool if Jordan did it. Like it is a subsidiary of sub-brand of Nike, but man, they sponsor some big name. Whether it's North Carolina for basketball, football, or Michigan for football, like having the Jumpman on there.
Oh,
and have all the shoes. I am here for that.
I just find it wild that the Jordans that I bought in 1985 are now the popular ones 40 years later.
Do you still have them?
No, but I know they were black and white, and I still see them. I'm like, those are the exact shoes that I wore when I was 10 years old. So
everything comes full circle.
It does,
like people wearing bell bottoms now.
Don't ever bring bell bottoms back.
That's what women are wearing, and I'm like, no,
it's coming back. Yeah,
no,
I will
do that again, people. Let's not do it.
What's her bucket? What's her bucket? The country singer Lainey Wilson.
Nope,
she's all about it.
That's a hard no, dog.
That's a no for me,
let's
dog.
not let that happen.
All right, Randy Jackson.
There's nothing about.
I'm with you, Sean. It's terrible.
Come on, Sean. Disco's back.
No, it's not. Did it ever leave though, Tommy? Let's be honest.
It never leave. It never left. I've seen that John Travolta Santa commercial.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And
that guy is like in his late 70s.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He looks good. John.
That's
all right.
Crazy.
Well, those are our top off-season questions, and we'll revisit them once again, probably after Wodapalooza, do a quick little recap of that. And again, Adrian Bosman on the show this Friday. So that should be a fun conversation. Then we got Tia Toomey next week, and then we're going to do our award show to close out the year. We'll have our, we've got to come up with what categories we're going to have. But I got some in mind. Some
I got a couple.
Some no-brainers, but
there's
some that should be interesting as well. So we'll do that to close out 2023, and then we're 2 weeks away from Wodapalooza, and then after that, then we're going into the Open, and it's just going to be crazy. So, a lot of fun stuff. We got PRs and no reps.
Oh yeah,
close out with PRs and no reps as we always do. I don't know who it was. I need to look this up, Tommy. You might be able to help me with this. I got a no rep the Indiana Pacers. I think they gave up like 159 points in one game.
Yeah.
It was like 150. It's like, how do you give up that many points in a basketball game? Unless you go to like quadruple overtime.
Well,
they put like the Clippers hung that on them, right? Like it was like 157 points or something.
It's in this new NBA, right, where
there's no defense.
There's very little defense. The Clippers were 150. They won 151 to 127.
151.
Yeah.
This is like, did you bring in the MTV Rock and Jock like 25-point hoop?
Yeah, you throw out the 30-foot hoop for 75 points. Yeah, there's less defense, and you have stars and big name players doing mandated rest. So I don't know. Benedict Mathurin had 30 plus points, former U of A shooting guard. So
151 points.
That's like
some defensive drills next week. Guys. Let's work on that.
That's like it's just like pulling up from half court at that point.
All right, that's my no rep.
My no rep is my computer's battery is significantly low right now. Hold on.
Don't let it die.
All right,
I'm gonna try something.
We'll come back to Tommy. Lauren, you got a no rep?
Miserable people in JFK.
Oh.
Everybody through all of my travels, all of the airport staff and security were so delightful, especially in the UK, and their accents they just make it even better. And then I get back to the good old home base, New York, and every single staff that I encountered was so miserable. I asked a man what train I needed to be on to get to Terminal 5, and he says, I don't know, as he keeps walking. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, can you tell me like where I can go to find out? He goes, figure it out yourself.
Great. Thank you very much.
Work here.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. JFK. That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
I've never heard anybody like JFK and LAX, same thing. No one has ever said, it's a joy to fly in and out of those two places.
No.
Yeah.
Tommy?
My no rep is peer pressure. I'm no rep in peer pressure. So
tell us more.
There is a rogue challenge that's coming up. That I am going to partake in, and 24 hours of max meters on the rower.
Good for you, man. You have a team. Are you doing this with a bunch of people?
We have a team of 3. We're going to do it, and we're working on trying to do some last minute cramming for the exam, as well as just figuring out what our rotations are and how we're going to do it. But
2 hours on, 2 hours off. That's how.
Well, if it's 3, it'd be 2 hours on, 4 hours off.
Yeah,
which would be nice. But we're actually going to do shorter intervals to start, and then maybe build up to some ones. But
so Tosh's team did it, right? It was 2 hours on, 2 hours off.
Yep. I'll be honest. It didn't take much convincing. It was pretty much like Rick and Morty. It's like, you son of a bitch. I'm in.
Yep.
But so yeah, I'll be doing that next Friday, and I think I'm actually going to do part of Q&A from the gym while we're doing it. So
that'll be awesome.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
That's not. Is that this coming Friday? You mean?
No, a week from Friday.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, cool.
Sean, are you going to do it?
No.
Just the way you answer, worth it.
Come on, I don't have time for that. I got barely enough time to sleep. Like how? No. Who's got a PR?
I got a PR too. I'm gonna PR the Woodland family.
Oh,
your Chris's card is top notch.
Thank you.
The entire Marquez family stared at it and laughed at it.
That's
top
good.
To bottom. All
right.
Also,
send a picture.
Tiff wanted to know
is one, Lauren.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
I think you were on the list.
The
I made the cut.
Yeah, you did.
Tiff wanted to know if that's actually Max's height for some reason.
Yes, that's actually how he looks. Yes.
She thought it was like, so you were playing with the resizing or something like
Nope.
that. And I was like, yeah, that's
how he looks.
She was like, well, he's been so little. I'm like, yeah, but he's what, almost 4 now? Like, come on. Like he grows. He's in that phase where every time you see him, he's a head taller. So
he keeps insisting that he's bigger every morning because when we went to Gilroy Gardens, he couldn't get on one of the rides because he wasn't tall enough, and that was not fun. But he's like, "Am I bigger now?" Like in the morning, everybody was, "Am I bigger?" I'm like, "Oh, you're getting there, dude. You gotta get about 2 more inches before we can get you. We can smuggle you on there." And that's with maybe like a lift in the shoes and the hat, and just get him through there. But I'm glad you like that. That was that was a lot of fun to put together. And his expression is what is the thing too. Like we were trying to get him to smile or something. He just like look at this like he was very disgusted, and it worked out perfectly. So
it was perfect. Yeah, it's just like the I'm dying inside look.
Yeah, exactly. So Lauren, PR.
I'm gonna PR all of the off-season competitions I've done this season.
Yeah.
They've all been a joy to work with and so much fun. I'm glad that we have so many people willing to want to show off what their competition is doing and wanting to show off the athletes that participate. So that's my first PR. The second PR is London tea.
Ooh.
I'm not really a tea drinker, but if I lived in London, I would be an everyday tea drinker because that stuff over there is so good. And you go and you have tea. I didn't know what this experience was like, but you go to tea, you have a whole menu of the different types of tea, and it talks about the different leaves in there and the flavors you're going to get. And the place that we went to apparently is where the queen goes for tea while she does her Christmas shopping.
Yes.
Wow.
So you have your tea, but then you also get to pick from a menu of like
little finger sandwiches and like treats.
Oh, it was so good.
Cool.
Like
it's pretty
awesome.
awesome.
Finger sandwiches and then scones and then desserts. So you have your tea and you have your snacks and oh gosh, it was lovely.
Right. Well, I'm gonna PR my brother for getting married this past Saturday. Wrote his own vows, did a very nice job doing it. He asked me to proofread them, and I was like, "Man, you crushed it. Good job."
Nailed it.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. So I PR for him for getting married, and best of luck and best wishes to him and his wonderful now wife, which is crazy to me because I realized I now have a sister-in-law.
Oh, congrats to you.
Yeah. So that was cool, but that was fun. I was glad I was able to be there for that. He was genuinely shocked when he saw me. Like I got to his house and was at the door knocking to get let in when he pulled up with the 2 guys who had him out. And I could see him looking in the passenger side. He's like, "Is that?" And I'm like, "Well, now I can't get in the house, so I'm going to go say hi to him." And he was genuinely shocked. So it was pretty cool. So this was the reason, just so everyone knows, they were just going to do a small thing, and then next year they're doing like kind of the big deal for everybody. And his rationale was he didn't want to bother me with it because he didn't you don't need to make a trip up here for this. It's not the real thing. So whatever. But that's why. But it was a lot of fun. He was surprised, and it was a good ceremony and fun friends and good times had in Snohomish, Washington. Beautiful up there, by the way, if you ever have a chance to visit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thanks again to our sponsor, Reebok. Reebok.com. Check out the Nano X3. It's not too late to new pair of shoes. CrossFitters love shoes. Get those things now. Get them shipped. Get them under the tree, and make someone's feet in your family very happy. Because
Happy Feet, always a good thing.
Also a great movie.
Also man. Meaning of life. Comfortable footwear. All right.
Yep.
That's the meaning of life. Friday, we're going to have Adrian Bosman on. Next Tuesday, once you get done with our good friends up north, Boxing Day, the 26th, Tia Toomey, that interview that Lauren did at the Grove Games. And then next week, to close things out, to close out the year, we're going to have our end of the year show, our awards show. So that'll be a lot of fun. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Reebok again for sponsoring us. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.